I'll try and be as professional as possible. But
Oh, no, you're...
at my phone a little bit.
Dude, you're totally cool.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure to meet you.
Stoked for this.
Yeah.
Coleman, right?
Coleman.
Awesome.
That's what I came looking for in the first place.
All right, we'll go ahead and just press record on these guys.
You want some of those?
So I'm here with Illiterate Light, New Vinyl Mondays. What is an Illiterate Light?
That's the question of the century, really. That's why we formed this band, to try to figure that out.
That's what you're set out to answer.
The band name comes from a Wilco lyric, which is a big common inspiration for me and Jake. So
I did notice you mentioned that in your first album.
yeah, we tried to give him a shout out there too. But that illiterate light is with us every night. It's a lyric from Theologians.
Theologians, man,
yeah.
I feel bad because that is my favorite album.
That's great.
It'll pop out next time you listen to it. It'll be like, oh,
I know.
right
That's
there.
how it goes every time. Just once I know about it, and I can't forget about it.
Usually when people hear us, they don't really think we necessarily sound like Wilco. But I'm just a huge fan of their music. We both are.
Sure, it's like that new age kind of country sound.
Yeah.
It comes across, especially in your outfit. You're all ready to go in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if the music aligns with that, but that's what my wardrobe is.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interpretive.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it grows on the theme.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So where do you guys come from? I know you're from Tennessee, if I'm not incorrect.
So actually, no, I'm back in Virginia now. I lived in Nashville for about 4 years, but we met in Virginia in a small town called Harrisonburg, Virginia.
All right.
We met in 2010 and lived there. I lived there on and off until 2018 or so.
Oh, sure.
And then September 2019. Jeff's the historian.
I hear you.
I'm the
15th,
2017 theme. Yeah.
I mean, with the pandemic, everything.
Yeah, it kind of
the times and concept.
got lost in there, but yeah, back. I'm back in Virginia now,
Okay.
and it's a good place to call home.
Awesome.
Yeah, Virginia's home. Yeah,
Virginia's the one.
that's right. Yep.
All
Jake's
right.
in Richmond, and I'm in Harrisonburg.
Okay.
Yep. Just got a couple mountains in between us, but
All makes for a fun drive, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So you guys are a two-piece group.
Yep.
Just one guy in drums, one guy doing.
A bunch of
bunch
other,
of other
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
a bunch of other stuff.
So what do you see as the benefit of that, and what are some complications?
The benefit of it has always been, a lot of being in a band is about, what's the right word? Not even efficiency, but being able to move quickly, being able to get momentum really
Sure.
quickly. And
Work hard, slow things down.
yeah, that can really happen. So one of the benefits is that ability to just kind of have an idea, kind of go for it right away, both
yeah?
get on the same page. That can be musically, or that can be, just with a merch design or, a tour plan or something like that. I mean, that's all, there's a whole side of this thing about being a band, which is just non-musical, and it's just about being a fucking team. And
Right?
so
Kind of got to run it like a business sometimes.
yeah, and when there's just two of us, it's really convenient, and we're able to kind of just make moves pretty quickly. But then musically, yeah, it's really fun. It's just like, when we do a lot of improvising during the show, and when that's happening, it's interesting because there's not, it's just the two of us. Like there's not a whole unit of people to kind of interact with. It's just like, here it is. But I still see that as a benefit. The drawback is that we both do a lot,
Right.
and sometimes like watching these guys play, it's like when you've got 5 or 6 people on stage and everybody's really talented, you can take a break and somebody can take a solo and really shine, and you have more ingredients to work with, and that's really cool. And sometimes I get jealous of that, or I wish that we had that. But we're really happy with being a duo. And in the studio, sometimes we expand and have some friends play on stuff here and there.
Sure.
But live, it's really punchy, just the two of us.
I bet.
Yeah.
I imagine you're wearing all multiple hats. I don't think that cowboy hat's the only one you brought.
No, I have 3 hats on under this.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And then with kind of being a band in this modern era, with the way the industry works now, and how social media kind of has to be used to make a band more marketable, do you see it as more of a necessity, that's something you have to do to be as marketable as possible, to have that greatest impact, or do you see it as more of a useful tool to be able to find those people that really connect with your stuff?
I think we kind of oscillate between the two. You know, there's times where, just like everybody else that I know, I want to pull my hair out because I have to make a social media post or follow up on, you know, some DM or something like that, and
Look at analytics.
yeah, and you're just sitting there looking at your phone all day, and that can be pretty intense and draining for both of us, really. But I think a lot of the times whenever we get into those ruts, we try to step back and remember that other point, which is like, wow, this is a unbelievable and unique way in the history of the world to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I've really taken to the backside of Instagram with DMs and really, like, anybody that follows us, I try to reach out and just like say, like, what's up? Like, I'm a person behind this.
Social media is about being social.
Yeah, it's about the actual connection. And I've actually, in the last few months of doing that, met some really cool, like, new drummer friends that saw a video of me playing standing up and had questions. And I've met, last time we were in Nashville, I had lunch with one of them. I don't know, it was just like, oh, like, this can be a really cool way to connect. And then we also just, like, we realize that social media works better when we try to have fun with it. And,
for sure.
and it's obvious when anybody on social media feels like they're forced to do it. Everybody that sees it is just like, I don't want to watch that. So
Yeah, I know personally for me, I see all these artists being so active, especially with you guys and your video content, short form being such an important part of it nowadays. I know so many artists just aren't ready for that. They don't know the tools, they don't have the tools, they don't really understand how to get going in that space, and their minds aren't really in that. But when I see the ones that do, especially you guys are a star example when it comes to short form content.
dang, well, thank you.
It really blows me away. You guys have incredible work out there.
We just really try to have fun. It's like we're independent artists, and we don't wake up, any morning and have an email sitting in our inbox with somebody saying, here's what you have to do today. It's like it's 100% comes from me and Jake just figuring it out and doing whatever we want to do. And so within that, that's where it's like, well, if we don't love it, then what are we doing?
Right,
And
right.
so, when we put out our most recent album, Sunburned, we had a bunch of great press for it. And then we had this one blogger just like completely, shit on the record and just say, it was like, and he did the same thing for the first album. But we decided to have fun with that because it's like, in this day and age, it's like, you're just kind of used to half the people enjoying what you do and half the people kind of trolling you. It doesn't really hurt our feelings.
Sure.
But we basically, the interesting part about the bad press was that the dude writing the article blamed Jake for all of the poor decisions on the album, but he thought that Jake was the vocalist on everything, which was
like switch names.
which was inaccurate. It was actually me that he was trying to blame. But so I actually took the blogger's side, and I went to social media and I apologized to our fan base and said, this guy's right. This album really should never have come out, and it is Jake's fault. And then Jake took responsibility for his actions and decided that the best decision for the band would be for Jake to step away and to find his own replacement for the sake of the prosperity of the band.
Yeah.
And so then Jake spent about 2 weeks hosting drum auditions. And
Nice.
Drummers from all over the country auditioned to join our band. And then we found the perfect replacement.
Yeah.
A younger, a little bit easier to be around, more attractive, just kind of like Jake, better version of Jake is I think the way we saw it.
Yeah. Jake 2.0.
Yeah. And so he joined the band, and pretty quickly we got a jam session going. At this point, Jake had stepped back into more of a managerial role as president of Illiterate Light LLC Board of Trustees.
Of course.
And so Jake was overseeing the rehearsal, and he saw the connection between me and Carter. He saw how great it was going, and had a fit of rage and decided to retake the throne as drummer of the band.
Take back your throne.
Which was contractually illegal at that point. So we had to make an amendment to Carter's joining of the band that Jake could challenge him for the drum throne if they had a battle to the death with a samurai sword.
All right.
So we ended up having that go down in a park in Nashville, and Jake brutally murdered this young man.
Tough day.
It was a tough
Always,
day, yeah.
Duels are never friendly.
Yeah. If you ever notice that we get quiet on social media here and there, it's because he is wanted in various states by the FBI.
Of course.
So rest in peace, Carter. It was great while it lasted. Obviously, Jake rejoining the band means we don't have a president of Illiterate Light LLC Board of Trustees. But
Vacant position.
yeah, we're looking for somebody to fill that position. But now that Jake's back on the drum throne, the band's just really skyrocketing, and we're feeling better than ever.
Well, sometimes you need a little something just to mix up the chemistry.
Yeah, exactly.
Get things moving again, and
True.
we'll keep Carter in our thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Wow, that sounds nice. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Thanks a lot.
So I know with your new album, Sunburned, you kind of took a little bit different of a sonic direction. What would you say you did differently in preparing for the writing and the producing of this record, voices versus like your past works?
This album was
Just
different.
myself a little, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. This album was different than the first album because it was, we didn't really come out and say like, this is a COVID album or anything like
Yeah.
that, but we're a live rock band. I mean, everything we do is really based on the live show experience. And so this album never had that moment. It wasn't written or performed in front of people. We were kind of more so writing in the studio and we just detached ourselves from what the album would be like live.
Yeah.
Because there was a little bit of a feeling early pandemic that it was just unclear if we were going to be touring again for years. We didn't really
Sure.
know. So it's just kind of like, let's just do something in the studio that we really are drawn to. And we'll figure out the live arrangements later.
Oh, for sure.
That was definitely the energy going into it. And so we just took a different approach, more keyboard stuff, jumping around on a bunch of different instruments. Some darker themes, some
Sure.
Electronic drum programming stuff. Yeah, we just opened up and just said, we'll figure out the live arrangements, but let's just treat the studio like it's its own beast.
Sure. So you'd say, like, before you're kind of focused on how you can make the best performance possible through that music. Now, with this work, it's a bit more, how can we make the best album or have the most fun making an album?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good balancing point. I think it was just the live came second.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, we all, every time we would go into the studio, even for the first record, there was a sense of just like, let's figure out how to make this as cool as it can be.
Okay.
But we definitely started this band with the duo instrumentation, and we wanted that to be in the forefront of our first album. And then I think with Sunburned, we were just a little more open to whatever sound we found.
Right. Okay. And then when I'm thinking about being kind of a lifelong creative, you'll always be working on something creative even if it isn't your job. But you're also a career musician. So when it comes to like balancing those two aspects, is that something you find comes naturally? It's easy to set one aside to focus on the other, or is that kind of something you have to work on?
As far as the music versus the other part of the band, or?
As far as like being a creative person, but also knowing that it's a kind of a business.
Oh yeah.
You're a career
sure.
musician. You kind of
Yeah.
have responsibility to your fans, the stakeholders.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I kind of just see it like, it's almost like two different hats.
Sure.
It's like I think when we go into the studio, when we're being creative, when we're jamming, when we're playing shows, like it is just 100%. It's 50% artistry, 50%, being a performer or an entertainer.
Right.
And because that's part of the gig, and so that when you're in that creative zone, it's just like I'm not thinking about really any of the other stuff. It's the going back to the multiple hats sort of thing.
Yeah.
and then there's those other times where you're sitting there going, okay, yeah, we are trying to make a career out of this. We are trying to have a sustainable life as artists. And so that's when I take my artist hat off and I look at what we've created and go, all right, well, who's going to connect with this and how do we actually market this sort of thing? And, you know, that's an area that we have other people that we work with that help us with that.
Right.
Our record label and, you know, our agent and people like that we can chat through those sorts of strategies with. But I really feel like it's just two different hats, you know. What I really like when we are creating something, just getting lost in that. You know, like we have a song on Sunburn called "Fuck LA," and you know, it's just like,
I love how all over that.
Yeah.
All over the place it is.
Yeah, for real.
It's a
and
wild
like,
journey.
yeah, it's a fun song, and it's one of those tunes where it's like, I remember sending it to our previous label, and I think they were just like, what are we gonna do with this? And it's just kind of like, I don't know, but we made it, and I love it. And
I can't imagine Sunburn without it.
yeah, there you go.
You know, it's brilliant.
Thank you. And I think our the folks that are listening to the album in a deep way are vibing with that for sure. And at the end of the day, that's who we're, you know, hoping to connect with. It's like there's moments of what we do that's pretty surface level and just kind of ear candy and you can get down with it. And then there's a lot of what we do that's just got a bit more of a weight and a bit more of intention to it. And you know, we want to be able to, that's kind of who we are as artists.
Yeah, I get that a lot. When it comes, I know your live shows, you tend to be very active in them. I know you have a very certain, at least with your previous ones, they have a vision with it. There's kind of a way it's supposed to go. Would you say that your work is best epitomized by your recorded work or by your live shows?
It's another area where I've kind of come to just see them as different arenas, especially like they're so different, you know, it's like, it's really, the studio is such a different place than a live show where we can fluctuate in tempo, you know, we can just like, we can be pitchy live, but it works in the moment. And then you try to capture that on a record and you listen back and you're like, I don't know if it translates, I don't know if we really caught it, you know? I would probably say the essence of what we do, I would say I'd lean more towards our live show, because I think moving forward in the music industry and just, you know, just in the way that we plan to move forward as a band, I think that, you know, we feel really, really comfortable as performers. And the thing that people are, you know, seeking moving forward is community and something exciting and something new, and somebody that's a little bit more bold and fearless. And I love trying to activate that in the studio, but I think that moving forward, our sweet spot is gonna be as live performers. I think there's a big move towards people going super digital and having a lot of not being very comfortable in front of a few hundred people. That's not us, you know. I'm just like, I love it, you know, like I want to be bringing people together and having a collective experience versus being a real digital performer. So that's, I don't know, they're two different worlds, but I love them both dearly.
That's awesome.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think the way I would pull it together is just the place that we feel most in tune as artists is the essence of the song, and that the recorded version, or if we play a acoustic version of it live, or seeing that the heart of the song has birth in these different places is really exciting to us. But I think a lot of the intention goes into that initial crafting of the melody and the lyrics and the intention behind it. So
That's
awesome.
a good way of putting it, yeah.
No, I could totally see that. I can't wait to check you guys out. This will be my first time personally,
Oh,
so
sweet.
I'm very excited.
Sweet, man.
When it comes to venues, do you have a place that's like your dream venue, or is there a place you'd like want to go back to?
We're in Colorado. I think we both dream about Red Rocks. That's
Sure.
that's a pretty standard, like, once you're there, you've made it.
Right.
For me, I grew up outside of DC, and there's a club there called the 930 Club. That's also like probably world renowned. It's just it's not a huge place, a couple, 1,000 or 2,000 people in there or something, but it's just known as the place to see cool bands. So I saw so many of my favorite bands there growing up, and I still dream. We've never played it, so I still dream about playing that place.
Yeah, Merriweather Post Pavilion in Columbia, Maryland was where I saw bands growing up, and 930 Club too. It's huge, so it's like,
Sure.
but it was always just the spot where I was like, man, one day that would be amazing. But a little bit of like my mantra over the last few months is just we have arrived, meaning that there's nowhere else to get to. There's not some magical venue or show that you play where when you walk off the stage you go, my work here is done. It doesn't exist. It's like
The goal's the next place you're playing.
the goal is just to be in the moment.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's just going to be tonight is it.
Right.
This could be the last show ever.
Of course.
And I hope it's not, but it's like we treat it like it is, and there's nowhere else I'm trying to go other
Sure.
than right here.
All right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you wish you knew when you started this group about where you'd be going, what you'd be going through? Any tools you wish you'd given that earlier self?
That's a great question. It's funny because I don't really have many. We've had to navigate some things in the industry and stuff, and I don't really have any regrets there. I don't
Sure.
think that anything's gone down in a way that was terrible for us. There was a global pandemic that
Right.
hit. Like,
Just let yourself know, hey, you're going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Just get through it.
Yeah. I think it's for me, and what I would tell like other artists too is like, man, just always trust your gut. Like, just do what you really feel called to do, and accept yourself and be who you are. I know that's such cliche stuff, but that's what you end up dealing with, when other people start getting involved and start pointing you toward like, if you're working with a label and they're like, well, check out this other artist, I think you guys could go down that lane, and it really starts to throw you off.
Sure.
You start to lose trust in yourself and who you are, and you start to kind of mold yourself to be what you think you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's pretty common, and I don't think we ever really like lost ourselves on the way, but I think that there's certain little, there were just moments where I really doubted who we were and what we're doing. And I think now I'm just kind of like, fuck it, man. No, like, I believe in what we're doing. And I don't, I'm just along for the ride. And I love playing music with this dude right here. And I love being in our band and traveling around. And like, so trusting our gut and just accepting, like, this is who we are. This is what we got, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, that has been a really, special feeling in this new chapter of our band.
Yeah, I've always said if you're trying to be someone else and you don't like who you are as you're presenting it, then you're not going to have fun doing it, and it's not going to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
You're not going to make the best art you're going to make if you're just trying to be something else.
Very true.
I think the thing that comes to mind for me is it's actually advice that we got pretty early on, and I've just really seen it play out, which is a lot of it's out of our control. The thing that Jeff and I always come back together on is each night we control the live show when we go up there and we put our entire spirit into it. But we were basically, with changes of songs, we've basically been doing the same type of live show since we started. And when there was a big bump in our ticket sales and people got involved right after we came out with Better Than I Used To, we had already been playing that song on the road for it wasn't new to us, but all of a sudden everybody cared for a little while. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. And then the same flow didn't really happen when we put Sunburned out. It was not this like, oh, like everybody jumps on board kind of thing. And it was just like, well, I don't know. I can't really control that. So we just that I think I've saved myself a lot of stress over the years of being in this band, kind of reminding myself that, like, all right, well, I like it. I think it's really cool.
That's all that matters.
And the new stuff we're working on right now, we just got some mixes back for an EP that we're going to be putting out maybe beginning of next year, and we just tracked some the stuff beyond that out in LA. And yeah, it's just like I'm in love with the things that we're making right now and proud of it. And driving through the mountains of Colorado today, listening to this sort of like more acoustic American music leaning EP that we've worked on, and just being like it fit the environment so well, and just being like I'm really proud of this. So.
Oh yeah, no, those slower, more acoustic, folky songs are perfect for the season in Colorado for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's just like you just gotta love it, and you can't base. There's so many metrics these days, and they're so intoxicating, especially if everybody's got to make a buck. We get that,
Right.
but like you just can't base the way you feel about your art on if it's going viral on social media, if it's getting top 10 charts, charting on radio. Like you just can't. It's so tempting. We all do it because if you get a hit of that, then you're like, oh, it actually matters. It's connecting with people.
Right.
But it's like
It mattered the whole time.
it mattered the whole time. It always matters. If you love it, it matters.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's where our heads are at on this.
Awesome. Well, I think that's about everything I have to go through. It was a pleasure speaking with both
Yeah.
of you.
Thanks, Coleman.
And I look forward to seeing you guys up on stage.
It's gonna be a good one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, 3%. Look at that.
Woo.
That's what we go.